Guys, thanks for joining me. Melissa here. I'm doing a night video. Yes, my hair is staticky. I just took an elastic out, so it's like really staticky. Um, so very busy day. I just want to talk some business right here. Like, what are some good principles in business? And I'll be doing a book review within a couple days of a new book I'm reading called Don't Eat Alone. I'm telling you guys, I just started reading it and my mindset has already changed. It's been pretty helpful. So I had a call today. I was getting ready to meet somebody. I had a call and it was a different networking group that I had visited a couple times, and they're like, "We need a cleaner." And I'm like, "Give me a call." And I'm like, "Okay, so I already pivoted my business because I wasn't getting enough business from the networking groups, and this is kind of what I'm working on." I've had people tell me they miss me a lot at the networking groups. I am very serious minded, so I have not put too much effort into the relational part of business. And so I've been brainstorming. I'm like, okay, data sheets, this, what's missing? So, technical skill is good. I was reading a book that talked about, and I will be doing in a couple days a book review on this book. It's already changed my mindset, called Don't Eat Alone. And this guy is basically talking about how important it is, the relational side in business, how important it is. And, I will be going into that, how he went to school, and he was kind of resentful. He was poor when he was growing up. He saw rich friends. He didn't know what they had that he didn't have. And so he offers, how a lot of people work hard, but they don't work at relationships. And I've done that for my family. Like, I've worked on my relationship with my husband, my kids, everything. But he talks about in business, it's relationships. That's what it boils down to. It's who you know. So this is why, too, he also talks about generosity is so important. And a lot of people in churches don't see this. I've called for pro-life stuff. I've called churches. No, we definitely don't help. No, we don't. What kind of generosity is that? In business, you have generosity. It's called being reciprocal. When someone's usually giving a lot to you, you want to give back. It's a basic principle. So, so I'll be talking about that book as I get through that book. But so I have had many people saying, "Melissa, we miss you at these networking groups," and I've been like, you know what? They're not always, the best thing. And so this group, he says, this is how we are. This is how we grow it. This is how we do it. It sounds like he puts a lot of work forth, plus the relationship aspect was there. And then I went to another meeting about banking today. We had some bankers at a meeting, and that was eye-opening. That was so, so good. So I had raised my hand and said, hey, if you get a deferment, like on a mortgage, does it ruin your credit? And he's like, no. No, if the bank has agreed with a deferment with you, that does not affect your credit at all. He goes, it may add more interest at the end of the loan, a 10-year loan or whatever, 5-year loan, it may add interest, but it does not affect your credit if it's an official deferment. I go, what if you defer, a few times? And he goes, yeah, no, that does not affect your credit. So I had had a deferment with a trailer just to keep our payments, going in a trailer. And then somebody had said, no, we can't do another deferment. So I had, said to my in-laws, look, we're getting behind on this trailer payment, and they didn't want to take any responsibility for it, guys. And like this banker said, he was telling us stories about people who have banked with them. He goes, so we had a situation, and this happens a lot, an employee will co-sign for another employee. And he's like, it's not recommended to do that at all. He goes, so we had a situation where this guy couldn't come into work. He needed a pickup truck. So the employee co-signed for him and said, hey, he needs a pickup truck, so I'm going to co-sign. And they're like, we would not recommend that. So he co-signed anyways. the guy lost the job and then he took off with the truck to another state. So he's telling the bank, look, this guy didn't pay and I'm left paying this. And they're like, you co-signed and it's your responsibility. Same thing with my in-laws. They tried to blame everything on my husband and on me, and he had cancer and he had a very low paying job. And so rather than them picking up their responsibility, calling the bank, saying, hey, he's got, cancer, he's got, kids, he's got this and that, or, even saying, what are the payments? They took no responsibility. What are the payments on this? So they got really ticked off with a deferment and with, late payments because they would not take responsibility at all. So we were struggling. That's totally different, guys, when you are poor and you struggle versus somebody who has money and they just don't want to pay their bills. And so we were talking about that today, how a lot of people will not pay things on their credit report because they're like, I have principal. They're like, if it's Verizon or it's something stupid on your credit, pay it. And yes, there is principal. You're like, well, I don't know it, so why do I need to pay it? And something I learned today, pay it. They said your principal is costing you money. So sometimes when you have those bills that you can't really debate with credit, they're like, just pay it. So good stuff, guys. Take classes on banking before you really get into any loans with your business. I learned a lot today, and I'm not even close to ready for taking a loan for my business. You got to have your personal finances in order, and where I have been through so many jobs recently, especially over here, it's like, no, you got to get your, everything in order better. So I haven't wanted to get a loan. People are like, don't get a loan for your business unless it's doing really good, then you want to get a loan. So they're like, go for grants. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now, guys. I'm going for some grants, but more than that, I'm looking at my skills because, they told another story of this. Lots of stories, guys. Talk to bankers. They're like, so we had this company, this gas station that was here for like 14 years. New owners took over. They loaned them the money, and they had no experience running a gas station. So if you're going to buy a business, you should know how to run it. Like if it's a restaurant, know how to run it. A gas station. If you don't know how to run a business, basically don't do it or delegate, right? So I learned a lot today. Planning is huge. If you don't plan, you plan to fail. So he talked about COVID. He talked about how people didn't expect some stuff in COVID, how they had to pivot. And so I am still more in the planning stages, guys. So I'm pulling back some more. I'm going for planning even more to try to look ahead some more and be like, okay, what else do I need to look for? And not just have an emergency fund for yourself, they talk about, but have one for your business. Because if you don't have one for your business, you are going to have something come up. And, and always have a line of credit, they talked about. Even if you don't use it, have a line of credit for an emergency. And we got into Dave Ramsey because I had talked about Dave Ramsey, and we talked about the different beliefs there. They don't necessarily believe in closing a credit line like Dave Ramsey has talked about, because then you can't get your credit back up if you have a situation and you need to get that credit score back up. Or, it looks good to have credit cards for a long time. Or Dave Ramsey says no credit score, which is kind of difficult to do in this day and age if you don't have a credit score, because you do need it usually to get in an apartment, to get any kind of loans. You need a credit score. So and they really did advise against debt, any kind of debt. And I know some people feel just use debt for leverage, right? But what happens if you have 4 or 5 different things coming up that you're leveraging and the market changes and boom, you can't leverage anymore. You are bankrupt. So, some people are okay with bankruptcy if they have enough money or wealth to do that, whatever. But you have to kind of really know what you're doing to use debt. So that's what I got for now, guys. just a little bit of business talk. I will be talking more about this on my channel, and I have somebody messaging me. And I have another job interview tomorrow. This always happens, guys. I get no jobs or I get a ton of jobs all at once. Thanks for joining me, guys.